And what can I get for you, sir?
I'll have the shepherd's pie.
I'm sorry, but that's not on the menu.
Well, do you have potatoes?
Yes.
Butter?
Yes.
Cream?
Yes.
Salt?
Yes.
Pepper?
Yes.
Garlic?
Yes.
Onions?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Carrots?
Yes.
Eggs?
Yes.
Flour?
Yes.
Rosemary?
Yes.
Thyme?
Yes.
Chicken broth?
Yes.
Corn?
Yes.
Peas?
Yes.
Lightsaber? Remember when we did Star Wars?
Welcome back to Fucking Up Food, the Not a Cooking show. I'm your host, Frederick, and this week we're going to be making shepherd's pie. I figured with Frankie last week and all the kind of themed episodes we've done in these past few weeks, like with Frankie and with the iZombie episode and the pancake episode, I don't know, I just challenged myself a bit, try something a bit different. Don't worry though, I will be able to fuck up foods later because we will be having special guests later on in this semester. I'll be bringing in guests from a bunch of different shows, and you can see that later, and you can check out all their other content on the channel. But this week we're making shepherd's pie. From what I've seen, it's actually quite simple. It's basically just you're making mashed potatoes, and then you're roasting a bunch of vegetables in a pan, and then you're putting that pan, you're roasting all that together, and then you're putting the mashed potatoes on top of it, and from there it should be pretty. And from there you just put it in the oven. Ingredients: we've got vegetable broth, which I assume we'll use for some kind of base. Salt, thyme, oregano, basil, tomato paste, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. I don't know if there's a difference. I don't know the difference. Flour, a lot of mushrooms. It said 12 ounces of mushrooms. This is 24 because they only sold 4, 8, and 24, which I thought was kind of weird. So we'll just go with a lot of mushrooms. Green beans. The recipe calls for peas, but we're substituting green beans for peas. Also got some carrots, which we'll just kind of shave off, and we'll put that in there. Potatoes, for our mashed potatoes. We're going with just white potatoes, which are pretty easy and you can use for boiling and stuff. Yogurt, which we'll use for the mashed potatoes. Garlic and onions in replacement of shallots, because I couldn't find any shallots at the grocery store. So the first step for this is to boil some water and make some mashed potatoes. I'll do that, and then in the meantime, I will start preparing the rest of the vegetables. Is shepherd's pie like an Irish thing? Like, because I never really, I've heard about it, but I necessarily never made it, and I've never seen anyone make it, but I don't really know.
I think it's English.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Maybe it's like Scottish or something.
I don't know. I mean, I know that for a long time, Ireland was under the purview of England, so I guess maybe there's kind of an overlap, because it makes sense, because history lesson for everybody. Ireland was under the purview of the English for a very long time, until they gained their independence in, I want to say, early 20th century, because I know that they weren't independent before the potato famine, and I learned about the potato famine in class a couple days ago.
That's all I got.
I don't know. I mean, anyways, to finish my train of thought, because I'm very bad at that, Irish, one of their main staples for a very long time was potatoes, and I'm not sure if the Martian was right about this, but I'm pretty sure, it was what the Martian told me, that potatoes, you can survive on just potatoes. Actually, no, you can't. I'm lying to myself. You can't just live off just potatoes, because I remember a guy who ate nothing but potatoes for a month to prove that the Martian was true, and I guess he was right, but he said that he was going insane from eating potatoes. Anyways, potatoes are good. I know that they're pretty famous over in Ireland. I feel like I should know more about it, considering I'm a history major. When I grow up, I want to be a history teacher, but I also want to be like a high school history professor, because I feel like, I don't know, I want to be able to be that kind of man that inspires kids to go out and, see hope in the world and to, be that cool professor. And I feel like I can't necessarily do that as a college history professor.
teaching like the sex and society Star Trek. Yeah.
I wanted to take that class so badly, but my schedule won't allow it.
Made me watch Star Trek. Yeah, it's actually really interesting.
Is he making you watch all of Star Trek, or is he making you watch a specific series of Star Trek?
Like episodes. Yeah. Like, I remember
You're talking to a man who watched pretty much every single season of New Generation in a week.
That's 7 seasons.
It's a really good show. Patrick Stewart, if you want to come on the show, please. I love your work, not only in Star Trek, but also in X-Men and also in Macbeth. Daisy and I saw the Green Book last night.
Yeah, just Green Book. No,
Green Book. It's a really good movie. But yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, obviously I know that some people were mad because they considered it like it was nothing but like, oh, it's nothing but Oscar bait. It's about confronting racism and Despite what people say about it, I thought it was a great movie. I really enjoyed both main actors. I thought the story was very engaging. I thought, character development could have been a bit better. But overall, I thought it was a great movie, and I recommend that anyone who hasn't seen it should go watch it. Looping back a bit, the only real thing that you need to know about Star Trek is that if anyone asks you if you like Kirk or Picard, just don't even get involved in that conversation. I apologize if this seems a bit inconsistent. It's just that I was trying to do a bunch of prep work before this, so we kind of just stopped recording. But we were talking before about our cooking experiences. And I'm sure some of you, if you've watched previous episodes, I'm sure some of you know that Nina has plenty of cooking experiences with her family. But Ellie, who's a new freshman for UVMtv, she cooked with her mom in the past, but junior year of high school, my mom decided to go back to school to be a social worker. And so my dad and my mom were always out a lot. And so when I came back from school, it was mainly just a matter of I cooked. A lot of the time they like to use Blue Apron, which is this service that delivers ingredients and stuff like that to people, and it brings stuff to them, and you can, just make the meals when you want to. And so that was my first experience with it, but I also had done stuff in the past, and I enjoyed it, and so it kind of blossomed into my passion for stuff. Are you heading out?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to say goodbye to the audience?
Bye.
I'm actually going to take this off heat and just kind of let them sit for a while because they're soft as they're going to be, but I also need to work on making the mashed potatoes. Didn't realize this until when I was doing research for this recipe, that you need to actually the mashed potatoes go on top of the base, which I think is kind of cool. Half a cup of full-fat yogurt and a quarter cup of butter or olive oil. This is very annoying to do with just a fork. Also, I just realized this is a lot of shepherd's pie. Like, can I just do this with like a cup or something? Like, I feel like a cup would be easier. Or like a bowl, or just something to squish it. I gotta ask, with a gender studies minor and a film and television studies major, what did your parents think about it?
They were like supportive of it.
I mean, I'm not trying to shit talk you here. You're talking to someone who has a history major and a poli-sci minor, which aren't going to go anywhere, or at least people don't think it's not going to go anywhere. But I always try to defend people who people call out for having majors or minors that they think aren't necessarily going to go anywhere. Anyways, back to actual cooking. Enough talking aside. I realize now that I forgot to peel the potatoes before I tossed them in. So we're going to have mashed potatoes, kind of like this. Like a mashed potatoes kind of thing. I've made mashed potatoes before, but I used milk, and I mean, if you've seen the Thanksgiving episode, you know the process I went through to make mashed potatoes. So in the meantime, I'm going to turn this on to high, or at least kind of medium high. I'm gonna let that warm up. I'm gonna drizzle some olive oil. I'm gonna roast the vegetables, and then we'll go from there. So while that heats up, I'm gonna try and work on this. This can of tomato paste. I bought this can of tomato paste in September, and according to the expiration date, it's not going to expire until 2020, so after I graduate. But I bought this because I needed some tomato paste for my chicken tikka masala episode, and I didn't realize how much that would be. just realized that I don't have any place to put this. I'm gonna put you in here. Pot's heating up. I put in some olive oil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna saute these onions and the garlic in by itself. We'll let that get all aromatic. And then once they're a bit more browned, I will add in the rest and let that saute for a little bit. And then hopefully we will have some nice roasted vegetables. And then after that, you're supposed to make the gravy, which I already have everything prepared for that. Roasted onions and roasted garlic are probably one of my favorite smells, right up there with bacon. So I'm just supposed to let that cook until the carrots are softened and the mushrooms are slightly more shriveled. Oh, this recipe calls for red wine. I don't have any red wine, so we're just going to go without it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Kind of stupid just because a lot of the recipes that I look for do require red wine to cook with. And I really wish they didn't because I'm missing out on quality recipes. But, you know, not only am I too young to be able to buy alcohol legally, but also per my contract with the station, I'm not allowed to show alcohol on the show. So we'll just learn how to cook without alcohol. I know you don't necessarily see this on the show, but I do fuck up a lot. It's just that I edit out a lot of the fuck ups. Like the Hush Puppies episode, I kept a bunch of gravy in a plastic container. Not gravy, a bunch of cooking, like a bunch of oil in a container, like bacon fat and stuff. And I added a bunch of it from the previous from the Hush Puppies episode because I wanted to store it because you can use it as cooking oil later. Because it was a plastic container and because the cooking oil because the bacon fat was cold and the new oil was hot, it warped the container and I basically burnt my hand and had to drop the container in the sink. And I got a reprimand from my apartment complex for for pouring bacon grease down the drain. Pancake episode I fucked up because I put the butter in too early and I kind of just messed everything up. Nah, it's my fault. I should have thought about it. The chicken tikka masala episode was just a terrible episode. No one should ever watch that episode. There's actually an episode 0 where I made tuna melts from Men in Black because I really like tuna melts and I figured it was something easy where Nina and I could get to know each other a bit better. But that was just horrible because I messed up the recording. I messed up cooking. I nearly set off the fire alarm because I burnt the tuna melts. The name of the show is Fucking Up Food. It's my job to fuck up food. But yeah, I messed up. And it turned out, honestly, I love, this is probably my favorite show that I've ever worked on, either for UVMtv or for other stuff, just because, you know, it's my job to mess up and it's my job to cook, and I really love cooking, and I love doing what I love to do. So, you know, it's fun. I enjoy doing what I do. I'm going to add a bit more flour into this just because I feel like if it's a gravy, it needs to be a bit thicker. And then I'm going to slowly stir this just a bit more. There we go. That's a bit thicker. I didn't realize this until I actually put the mushrooms in, but mushrooms, by their very nature, contain a lot of moisture. So when you cook mushrooms, it releases a lot of the moisture and it acts as its own kind of moisture in a sense, where you can make a sauce, or you can make a stew out of it, and you can make things a lot easier with it. Let's do its thing for a little bit. We'll clean up. We'll do a hard cut to the actual cooking session. Because basically after this, it's just a matter of putting the potatoes on top, letting it bake in the oven, and then simple as that. We're back. Sorry about the hard cut. It's mainly, like I said before, it's mainly just cooking everything in the pot, then putting the potatoes on top, and then putting it in the oven. You said before the potatoes weren't necessarily cooked enough, because she was poking at it before with a fork, and I think... No, I think you're right though, it's just that I noticed this when I was mashing the potatoes, that some of the potatoes didn't necessarily mash as well, but I definitely think I should have let them boil a little bit longer. And when you put them on top, it's supposed to like brown up very evenly, but I think I didn't spread them enough, and I didn't necessarily let them boil enough, so that's definitely a problem.
Like this nice chunk of flour in here.
It wouldn't be the show if I didn't fuck up food, so shall we try? Sure. Oh, before we do, by the way everyone, this is Ellie.
Hi.
She's going to be working with us for now, along with me and Nina for the show.
Taste the yogurt and the mashed potatoes though.
I think it was good. It's weird, I think some of the potatoes were boiled, like perfectly boiled and perfectly mashed potatoes. It's just that some of them didn't The other ones just didn't boil, which is weird.
It's pretty good. It's just bland.
Yeah, I don't think
Some salt and pepper.
You wanna grab some?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Like some salt and pepper.
I don't know. I mean, I think for the first time making shepherd's pie, it's pretty good. I definitely need to cook the potatoes a bit longer, but I think the vegetables are okay. I mean,
you should have thrown the green beans in a little earlier, but I like crunchy green beans, so I'm fine.
I don't know. I mean, typically shepherd's like a traditional shepherd's pie calls for peas instead of green beans, but we went with green beans just because we wanted to shift it up a bit. I still think this needs some kind of protein in it, just because this is basically just carbs and vegetables.
You want to put tofu in it.
Because, okay, look, typically shepherd's pie has some kind of meat in it, but because Ellie's a vegetarian and because Nina's a vegetarian, I wanted to make vegetarian shepherd's pie. And then I was going to put in tofu, but then she told me not to put in tofu because tofu apparently doesn't go in shepherd's pie, so I just didn't.
Would you prefer this to have tofu in it? You see? Thank you.
I guess I'm just weird in every aspect, huh?
Yeah.
Alright. Overall, I think this is pretty good. I'd probably rate this like a solid, like 6. It's bland, but it's kind of understandably bland because you don't necessarily add any kind of spices or anything to it.
Could have put some spices in it.
When it comes to spices, I think I fuck up more than usual. Because I either makes things too spicy or like taste like nothing at all.
There was also just a lot. I feel like there should have been maybe slightly more gravy compared to potatoes.
I mean, with the gravy though, it's like you're making it out of nothing basically. It's just a vegetable stock, and you're mixing it with the vegetables. But I do agree that I think there should be more gravy.
I mean, personally, I am not a vegetarian, so I prefer it with like ground beef, but this is not bad.
What do you think? Out of 10?
Yeah, probably a 6.
Daisy?
It's edible. I'd eat it again in a pinch. I'll go with 6 as well. 6.
Don't.
137.
Really? You're gonna go with the very specific numbers here? So yeah, definitely need to make more gravy. Definitely should have let the potatoes boil longer. I think I was just afraid that with the potatoes, they get too mushy.
Too mushy is fine.
Yeah.
The mushier, the easier it is to mush.
That's true. Yeah, I was afraid of it being too mushy is all.
I mean, I would if you're making baked potatoes, but we're making mashed potatoes, so we want them to be mashed.
Anyways, 6.134.
7.
137. All right. So you know, I could definitely see myself making this again. I think this is pretty easy. It's mainly just a matter of, you know, roasting some vegetables in a pan, a little bit of prep work, but overall still pretty good. And there's still like maybe half of it left in the pot, so plenty of it left for meals, for when you want to grab some on the go. I thought this was pretty good.
Heat it up before.
Obviously, yes. Heat it up before I go. That's about it. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. I'd like to thank Ellie for working on my show and joining me on camera. I'd like to thank Daisy for joining me on camera again. And
I'm just here, so yeah.
You get free food out of it, so I'm not complaining. Do you want to plug your show before we go? Because you didn't get to plug your show last time.
Go watch. We're not getting paid to do this reviews, because it's good. The entire show has that attitude, so if you like that, then go watch it.
Yeah. It's actually quite good. They did an Oscar stuff recently, and they're going to do an Oscar stuff live in Brennan's, so that'll be fun. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Goodbye!
Smash that like button.